welcome! I know you're probably not expecting to see this face on the channel again, and you're probably here just to see Shawna's face, but alas, I have some obligatory stuff because this is for my project and my prof is watching this. So I'm studying publications, and in this course, our final project, we have to interview someone in the industry. Since I've always been a YouTube girl through and through, I wanted to use YouTube as a publication. Alas, using Shawna makes sense, and I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. And since Bufferfest was in town, it gave us a perfect opportunity to catch up and to talk a little bit about this stuff. If you didn't know, Bufferfest is a YouTube festival that happens here in Toronto, where some cool people show some cool stuff, and it is quite awesome. So yes, you get some context. Now let's talk about Shawna. So Shawna Howson is a content creator from the video sharing website YouTube from Cambridge, Ontario. Since joining in 2007, Shawna has wrangled about 575,000 subscribers into being addicted lunatics. With more than a handful of her videos having over 1 million views, you could say she's a YouTube all-star. And when I say YouTube all-star, I'm saying she has a video of her puppy at Christmas that's got 6 million views. 6 million. That's a big number. And in saying that, Shawna has quite a cult following in the interwebs. She frequents a Tumblr, an AskFM, and has a good 55,000 followers on Twitter. That's a public she created, and that's what I'm focusing on. So the rest of my video is really long. It is quite cut. I didn't want to bore you nor my prof. There will be a part 2 to this video, which will be posted here. The annotation will be added once I actually post it. Just talking more about Mara Chen and stuff that didn't really fit in the conversation about YouTube as a publication. So hopefully you want to watch that if you don't want to watch this. But I hope you want to watch this. Otherwise, bye!
You're on YouTube and you have a pretty sweet fan base going on. I want to talk about that fan base and how publications is something that has a fan base and has a public publication. Is there a specific target audience that you have?
That I have or that I shoot to have? I don't really film my content for a specific audience, but I appreciate the 14 to 24, 28 female demographic the most, just because usually their feedback is really, really inspiring about how they feel like I've given them sort of a reference point for pursuing artistic things, and you know, just because I see myself back then in them, and that's really nice. But I just really want to make content for anyone that wants to watch it and that wants to enjoy it. So it can be strange when it's like some like 60-year-old man in like
Venezuela.
I have a huge Polish audience.
Shout out to Poland.
Not Poland. It's interesting because like you don't think about the people that you aren't really trying to reach, and then you realize like, wow, when you put something out there, it really can reach a ton of people. And if something is good by one standard, usually it will be considered good across the board, and different people will like it. So that's kind of what I go for.
YouTube 2008, where we met a long time ago. A lot different from YouTube 2014. It's definitely more of a commercial space, with the banner at the top, the teaser video, trying to get people to subscribe. It's more of like a sales targeted space, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But how would you say that's changed the direction of your content, and how that's changed like your audience base?
I would say I haven't really felt much of a pressure to change myself because of the website changing. I've definitely lost views over the years and gained views over the years, and I think what's important is for you as a creator to know what your goal is, and my goal is to share content that I care about. While I'm working on content I'm really, really passionate about, I want to make sure my audience is engaged, so that's like through vlogs and travel things and, you know, different review series and stuff like that. So where this comes into play now, the changing of YouTube has actually made views go down for most people because the YouTube algorithm promotes what's most popular. So if you subscribe to someone, you won't necessarily see their videos, you'll see what's big this week. So it's not so great for the creator, me. It basically means that I need to make sure that I'm building my audience on separate platforms. So really running a Facebook page and being active every day, running a Twitter and being active every day, you know, running Tumblr, Instagram, all these different things, and taking your audience to another platform that might be better for them to see often, and it's just like another way to interact with them, which I like. I do it super organically because I really like it. It's not like, oh, I have to Facebook today. It's something that I actually want to do, but it's important because it's like reminding them that you're alive.
Yeah.
If they don't see you in their, YouTube feed because YouTube hasn't put your video up there for them, then they can go, oh yeah, I saw Shawna post. She makes videos. I'll go look. So I think in the new design of the site with their mission statement being we want to promote what's big, it's important for creators to really build their audience and maintain a connection with that audience, and whether that means like different sites for different creators, like it depends who you are, but I definitely find Twitter and Facebook like the most important because people are always on one of the two. So,
Yeah.
because I just don't think it's really affected me that much. Like I haven't changed the way I haven't even made a channel trailer.
Yeah.
What I tend to do is I still put my newest video up there because
Yeah.
if someone's coming back to see if I posted a new video lately, I want them to see that as my first thing, and then occasionally I'll put up a piece that I just really like there. And I
Yeah.
feel like this is just a snapshot of me. I don't feel pressured to make a trailer.
I think that's my favorite.
Yeah.
If I were to come to a channel and just hear the same trailer.
Yeah, every time.
It's like when the featured video thing, when autoplay was on,
Yeah.
and you'd go to someone's channel just to open it, and
Yeah.
then you would hear
It's
this
like,
music video.
Stop.
So I appreciate that. But then again, am I really like the YouTube target audience anymore?
Yeah, it's definitely best for the channel probably to do a highlight reel. Like, here's why you should subscribe to me. I just haven't done it. It just hasn't been a priority for me. I just feel like if people see a video of yours, they should know whether they want to subscribe or not. They shouldn't need a highlight reel. Like, do what everyone else does, click through the videos and see if you like them, and then subscribe. Use your brain.
Yeah.
It's definitely a cool thing that you can do, and I've seen a lot of people do some really cool ones.
So when you started YouTube, I'm assuming it was a hobby.
Yes.
How did you start, by the way?
I saw a featured video on the main page back when YouTube used to pick videos that just the staff liked, and I watched it, and it was a vlog, and it was by Mimi Molly, and it was called "Are You Anybody's Favorite Person?"
Oh no.
And
That made me cry.
yeah, and she was featured, so everyone saw that video, and then I went back and I watched all the videos. This is the coolest thing. Like, she made such interesting, fresh videos, and I was so fascinated by her as a person and as an artist and as a young woman, and was so interested to see the way that she looked at the world and what she would talk about. And she's like, what? I could do this. I could try to, be in that space and make things like she makes. So I started with music videos, and I started with different vlogs and stuff, and like definitely emulated her style, but then really after only a couple found the kind of stuff I wanted to make. And I often encourage people that are starting to you can start by copying, because by copying you can develop what you like to do, and we all have to start somewhere. So that's how it started, and then it progressed and went into me doing what I love, and different business things came into play.
Small part of me wants, YouTube to be like the passionate space that
Yeah.
it was.
Here's what's really great. I'm super passionate about business. I love negotiating deals. I love pulling things together, and I love doing a deal for the money, and then knowing I have the money to put into something that I won't be able to fund myself. Like, I love every aspect of that, and it's been a huge learning experience for me over the 7.5 years that I've done this. How to separate commercial from passion, how to separate, when to separate, and how much of each should be in each thing so you can function as an artist and still live. It took me until now, I think, to get it, and now I feel like I get it, and I'm living a way less stressful life, not worrying about am I selling out by doing this, or can I do this, or can I not do that? And it's definitely been a huge learning experience, and when you separate them in your mind, you allow yourself so much more freedom, and then when you do commercial things, you're actually able to bring that playfulness and that passion to them once you've given yourself the freedom to do that, instead of being like, I feel guilty for doing this, and then it not being very good. Right? And there's no reason why a creator should feel guilty about taking a partnership with a brand if that brand is endorsing them to pursue their passion. The only thing I feel is really wrong for a creator to do is to misrepresent something. So don't say it's your favorite thing if you don't even use it, right? But I always like to put into perspective why I'm doing the brand thing. So it's either I love it and I want to share it, which I have a couple like that, or it's they're helping me fund my film, and that's so great of them.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad they did that for me, and I'm also okay with sharing the product to you. I don't feel like it's a harmful product, and if it's outside of that sphere, I feel uncomfortable. If I have no relation to the product and it makes me feel uncomfortable, I shouldn't be selling it, right? But otherwise, being very open and honest, like, hey, they paid me. You can like it or not like it. It's okay.
I think you do it quite well. I watch your videos,
Yeah.
obviously. I never feel like you're trying to hide
Yeah.
the fact that I took this money,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I want to
Look
do
how
with it.
cool this is, guys.
Yeah. If you're not ashamed of it, like, why should anyone else be ashamed
Yeah,
of it?
exactly. And it's really important, like, because people are so aware of sponsorship, to be open. Like,
Yeah.
hey, got the sponsorship. It was really cool of them. Thanks, guys. And, like, you'll always get people being like, how much did they pay you? Or, like, why did you do this thing? And it's like, you can just flat out tell them, like, well, I need to make a living too. So
Yeah. Right now, are you living off sponsorships or off YouTube rep?
right now, it's half and half, but sponsorships is where the money is. YouTube Red is not where the money is unless you have an incredible amount of views coming in, and most YouTubers don't have that. What's nice about having like made videos over such a long period of time is I have a backlog of videos now that can make money continuously. I think I'd do better if I didn't use so much copyrighted content in the past, because I've used songs I don't own the rights to and stuff like that on passion projects that I love, and those videos do very well. But because I've used, you know, a song copywritten by someone else, I can't make money on it. So again, like, if you're wanting to do something you love, you're very often sacrificing, you know, not like making money. So,
Yeah, as you were saying before, you have put out a lot of different content throughout the years, music videos, short films, skits, and banana suits.
yes.
And you've written some stuff, you've put out Insomniatic Dreams, which I know is now downloadable, right?
Yes.
No more hard copy?
No more hard copy, because I wanted to like redesign the cover a little bit, like fix a few little things, and there was a typo in an older version, and then we fixed it.
No, there
there
wasn't.
was. I felt like that edition that we printed, I wanted like a newer, more updated one. So I took it off hard copy, but it's still available.
Do you
for-
still have the hard copies?
Yeah, I still have a few, like kicking around, because I bought a bunch of like, they're called proof copies. So when
Yeah.
you're like reviewing them, so I've got like a ton of different font sizes. So I've got like 10 of these books that are like, ugh. But I want to do another anthology and include a lot of pieces from the first one in it. So it kind of renders the first anthology a little obsolete. Which is fine. It kind of makes it feel like, oh, that's exciting for the people that got it, and like, it'd be nice to do like a more polished presentation of all of it, I think, next time. But I haven't really been in the headspace to work on editing a book.
Your journey from like self-publication to like now you're doing short film.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. First, like self-publication, how did you even like think of it? Did you know what you were doing?
Not really. Didn't really know what I was doing. I just decided I wanted to put out a collection of poetry.
Yep.
Knew that poetry isn't something that people are lining up in the bookstore to buy, so it's like, it's wasting my time trying to go get a publisher for this. I'll just self-publish it, and then I'll make 10 times the money doing that. And so,
Do you make a lot off it?
not really, no.
Okay.
But like, it's nice, like, you know, instead of making $1 a book, you know, you make 4, and that's exciting. And knowing that you put something out, you had control over it, you got to choose the font and stuff. Like, you don't get that when you publish with a publishing house. So it was the right move for me to make at the time. Now I just feel like I'd like to publish with a house, just so I don't have to deal with any of it. I had a really great editor who really helped me through it, and it was just a friend, and he just had an excellent grasp of poetry and sort of where pieces were going, and would just bring out the best in a piece and challenge me on things. So that was an interesting process, and we edited the entire thing over Skype because he was like not local. Yeah, that was also an internet venture, I guess, but I don't know, there isn't really any connection between the book and the films. Like, the only connection is that they're creative things that I've done, and writing has always been an integral part of what I do, because I think what I'm most attracted to is just storytelling, and writing is an easy way of, or I guess a complete way of sort of encapsulating a feeling or a moment or a scene or just an entire story, and then film is a different way of doing that. So yeah, they're not really related other than that, but I was able to promote my anthology through YouTube and stuff, so that was fun.
I know that tomorrow's Bufferfest. This will go up after Bufferfest, so you missed out. Yep. Tomorrow is your screening and also talk about your creative process. But since people are not able to see that, or they might, and that will be awesome, part 2 for you.
Yes.
How would you describe your shift in your process throughout the years? Because I know that you like post poetry on Tumblr.
Yeah.
And that's just, you type a screenshot, your thing, you post it on Tumblr. I noticed, I creeped you this morning. I was like, oh, she talked about novels. How would you say your process has changed for all your different projects? Like, do you find yourself working on something writing, and then you're like, actually, I want to work on this movie, and then you end up doing that for a long time?
I think it's a balance of cutting myself some slack and then also being more serious about some things. Obviously one thing, and then sometimes on the flip side of that, if your whole focus is on one thing and something goes wrong, you don't have perspective to be able to handle it. So for me, working on 2 projects at once is really, really, really good. So that's why it's good having massive short film happening while I'm making regular YouTube content. So it's like, this is where I'm like, and then this is where okay. The problem is when you get 2 things where you're like, about both. And it's learning your limits and what you can handle. And for me, obviously from 17 to 24, that's a big growth period in who you are and what you can handle and how you're going to mature emotionally and all those things. It's really touch and go. I just think it's important for me to let myself feel just how I'm feeling and not feel pinned down forever because of that feeling. So like today, I feel like I can never make anything again. Like just accept it, and just also accept that you might not feel that way tomorrow. And by accepting that, you probably won't feel that way tomorrow. Yeah. Just committing to things and getting deadlines helps things get done. So it's like with this short film that I'm doing, I have an outside investor. So that means that it has to get done. Like it's not an option to just push it to the side. So that makes it priority number 1. Same with brand deals. Like doing a brand deal means that I have to get this video done. And that means I have to get my other videos out there too, because you can't just post brand deal videos. You need to be doing this. So structure from the outside is really important. And then also remembering what you just want to be working towards. I think that if I were just continuing to just do the YouTube videos full time, I wouldn't necessarily be happy because I wouldn't really feel like I was growing. I need to feel like I'm pushing forward to whatever the ultimate thing is that I want. And there are a bunch of those things that I want, but it's about accepting that you don't get to be the prodigy that does everything before you're 20. Like, just not realistic. And just because some people do that doesn't mean that that's going to be how it is. And if you can get a handle on actually scheduling yourself properly as an artist before you turn 40, you're actually ahead of the curve, because a lot of artists don't learn how to time manage or how to work with their ups and downs until they're in their 40s. And if you think about all that time from now until 40, that if you could just get yourself disciplined, you have all this time to do stuff. And that's kind of where I'm at, instead of like being like, gotta get it done now, gotta get it done now. Just being like, oh yeah, like I have a whole lifetime to make things, but I need to focus on one thing at a time, what's important and what's feasible. So it's like, I'm not going to spend a year working on a feature that I can't afford to make right now. Like maybe I'll spend a month and I'll write something and I'll shelve it for later. No one wants to work a ton on something that can't get done. So I don't know. It's a mix of realism and deadlines and understanding yourself and cutting yourself some slack, and sometimes needing someone else to whip you into shape. And it's a mix. It's a whole ton of things, I think, and that's why it's so hard for artists to make it their career, is because we're our own worst enemy. So if you're able to get a handle on that, that's so important.
Your process obviously creatively has changed as you've grown, because you're now an adult.
Mm-hmm.
You started as a wee little lass.
Yes.
And I know for like me, for a lot of people, YouTube are just like where you're growing up space, and your process has made works that coddle that growing up space and has made it safe for people, and it's really important, and I'm glad you exist. And I hope you know you're important.
Thank you.
As a closing question, give me something like general that you would give to future interweb endeavor people, because even though you're, you know, pretty established in your work, not retiring anytime soon.
Yeah.
So there's a big world behind you, a big world ahead of you.
Yeah, for sure.
Advice for yourself and advice also for others.
It's basically just general life advice. I mean, if you want to succeed in this world or in any career, particularly in a career in the arts, no one's going to give you anything, and they shouldn't. You need to work for everything that you want, and when you come into this world, you deserve nothing, but you get a whole lot, especially if you're in the Western world like we are. And we all struggle with a fantastic sense of entitlement, which is just a product of our culture and who we are as humans, I think. And realizing that, like, when you're jealous of someone, you have really no right to be, because if they have worked hard for that, yeah, they got it. You didn't work for it. And once you really wrap your head around that, it makes it easier to stop feeling sorry for yourself and to stop expecting perfect conditions. That's the number one thing that stops people from doing the work, is because they're like, oh, I don't have a good enough camera, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. It's like, well, none of us did when we started. You think, like, David Lynch just learned how to shoot a perfect thriller because someone handed him, like, $1 zillion and a red epic, and he just went and did it? Like, no, you start with nothing and you work your way up, and that's where you learn who loves a path, like an artistic path, and who just loves the idea of it. Because a lot of people just love the idea of being known, or I love the idea of, oh, I made that, but you have to love actually making it, or you won't be able to. So you deserve nothing.
Donald Trump, everybody.
You can go out and get it. If you can try, you can. That's it. That's all I have.
Any closing things to say to the lovely viewer of my prop, and maybe a few people on my channel?
Well, I wonder. I guess I should say something more positive.
Who needs positivity?
Yeah. I guess I'm just really happy that I started and I didn't overthink it, and I wasn't too scared, because I remember how scary it was to start, and you're never going to know how it's going to turn out, and it always goes in weird ways, but good work always speaks for itself. Most of the time, if there's someone who got successful because of a chance or because of a viral video, for example, they're the exception to the rule. You have to work for years to get to that place, because behind every person who magically blew up and now they have a career, there's 1,000 more who worked hard for years getting paid nothing. I'm one of those people. Now I have this career that I love doing, that I continue to work hard at, and it was worth working for nothing. And this because I loved it. It didn't matter. And now I have the opportunity to do it full time. So I guess I would just say, just start. Figure it out. Like, you won't know it. Just start.
Cool. Thanks, Shawna.
You're welcome.
Bye.
So I just have to do a little analysis of our interview. If it's too long, I would have cut it all out. You'll see it in the sidebar, which is now the bottom bar. But if you see, based on the timeline, that there's more video to come, didn't cut it out so you can get with it. First, what did I learn from them? Just being around Shawna really teaches me two big things. First, if I want to make content, if I want to make something, just do it. You're just going to regret it if you don't. Which is sort of new getting into this, but just being around her just sort of like hits me like a bus, because I should really do stuff. And two, the other big thing the interview taught me is that I shouldn't be afraid of the big scary YouTube community, because in all honesty, it did scare me to make content back in the day, but I was also 14. I am 20 now, so there's nothing to be afraid of anymore. When I was 14, that should have been the time when I was doing crazy stuff. I guess it's really just big one thing that I learned, and it's just screw the haters. You can do what you want. Just go. You do you know, as Drake says, just do it. Secondly, did the views suggest that I should take some new directions in what I'm doing? As I said, Shawna just motivated me to start making content again. I don't know if it's motivating me to go into a new direction. Sort of been just feeling out what direction I want to go in. I'm very glad I switched into my publications major before I was in film production and integrated media. I'm glad that I've taken this path. It's the direction I want to be going, and if I just keep making content and making film on the side, it'll make me happy, because I think that's the direction I want to go, and Shawna said I should do it. Shawna said whatever I want to do, I can do, so Lastly, did they exceed or fail to meet our expectations? Obviously, she did not fail to meet my expectations. I sort of knew exactly what I wanted to get out of this interview with her. I met with her because I knew that she would give me the insight I want to know. Even though we talked a lot about YouTube as a business, it definitely reflects on YouTube as a publication. With publications, you really don't know how that's gonna go, and with YouTube, you definitely don't know how this is gonna go. Especially with the change that's been going on within the past 5 years. It's changed a lot. The publications world has changed a lot. Like her advice of just do it and just go out there. I knew that I was gonna get into this when I met with her because she's Shawna. She's a motivator. I'm glad to have met her when I met her, and I'm very, very fortunate that I have the chance to talk to her about these kind of things, and I'm glad that she exists. So if you're taking anything away from this really long video, it should be that you should do you, and publications rocks, and I'm gonna be making videos and stuff because I want to. My camera's dying.